little bit about me. I'm a self-taught photographer, and although I've been making images for many years now, in 2009 I decided to return to school to earn a bachelor's degree in fine art. When I'm asked why I'm trying to earn an art degree in the context of the current economy, I reply by saying that I'm already familiar with the phrase, "Would you like fries with that?" In the time-honored tradition of with just about anyone who was a student, I waited until late last night to write this. And after drinking a 4-pack of Red Bull, I was ready. It's interesting to return to school after a 20-year hiatus, because as much as the technology has advanced education, the job of learning has remained the same. Every semester I'm always asked, what is the source of your inspiration? Where do you get your ideas from? And I'm reminded of what my 6th grade teacher said to me, which is, you have to know your ABCs. And of course, being a 12-year-old kid, I replied with, I already know my alphabet, I know how to read. And she said, no, you're at our ABC, which is ABC, always be curious. Curiosity is the heart of inspiration. It was curiosity that led me to actively pursue documentary photography as my primary discipline. I have a deep love and fascination with history, and have oftentimes driven by an old building or have driven through an old ghost town past a series of dilapidated structures and wondered, what was this space used for? What was the main form of industry that this town provided, and ultimately what happened? I've engaged in a number of projects that have taken me on journeys through time. All have focused on the places that have seemingly been forgotten with the passage of time. My career track is taking something of a duality, where on one hand, I have the straight documentary, with capturing the places that have been abandoned without interference from me, combined with the traditional aspects of documentation of research and verification of that research. On the other hand, I want to explore my long-running fascination with light. As a photographer, I have a keen understanding of light. I understand how light and shadows interact. Over the years, I've used the light of the sun as we know it today, and I've used the light from the sun from millions of years ago by way of electricity that is generated from petroleum and coal-fired power plants. I've explored the use of various light sources, from a single incandescent bulb to large work lights, from candlelight to strings of rope lights, from neon to laser light. I've always been fascinated by lighting and the numerous ways that light can be manipulated, shaped, and formed to create different impressions. These last few images have been some of my various experimentations with light over the years, including the lighting of the snow train in Laramie's Depot Park. It was this evolution of light exploration that would manifest itself into a process I'm now calling alternate light. On the next project I undertook, which was the documentation of an old oil refinery in Laramie, I began to think about what some of these spaces would look like with artificial lighting. I spent roughly the first year of this project looking for spaces around the site that would offer me a story to tell. The concept behind alternate light is that it's an exploration of the dichotomy of darkness and light, a way of seeing spaces that otherwise wouldn't be possible to witness. The intention is to restore life to a lifeless space, even for just a moment. To recall that there was a time when these spaces had people working, playing, and living within them, and in doing so create an alternate reality. The use of artificial lighting serves as a surrogate for humanity. Humans are the only species on the planet that depends on artificial light sources. I mean, think about it. When was the last time you saw a bear with a flashlight? First alternate light image I created was the Fear Factory wall. This image has become a favorite of mine, and is a favorite of many who have seen this series. Since I'm operating on a shoestring budget, I've been using off-the-shelf lighting, such as standard floodlights, that can be picked up from a hardware store. These lights have limitations, of course, primarily output power. All these are incandescent and are power hungry. I'm in the process of converting to high output, high equivalency lighting LEDs. The biggest drawback to using these lower powered light units is that they suffer from not having enough power to and are required to use longer exposure times. I'm making exposures that range from as little as 30 seconds to 15 minutes. On the surface, this may seem like a lot of time is lost, and to a point it is. I'm only able to set up and shoot what will later be composited into 1 or 2 images in a single night. Some images have total exposure times of as long as 75 minutes, as is the case in this one. This one required several different setups to create. My generator was dying that night, and I had to set up 2 or 3 lights here and photograph, and set up 2 more lights and photograph, and so on and so forth. I believe that the time I spend creating these images, between setting up the lighting, making the exposures, taking down the lights, and the hours spent in post-production to blend all images into a single composite, is for one reason and one reason only, as I yearn to bring history alive. History is a study of the past, a way of understanding where we have been and where we might be going. But most, if not all, of the people who occupied these places I photograph are now gone. The structures they lived and worked in have been long abandoned. I want to breathe life back into them for just a moment. The old phrase, burning the midnight oil, which I was doing last night, indicates that one is said to be working well after dark, and therefore had to utilize lighting from a source other than daylight. I photographed these places between dusk and dawn. It's these hours of darkness that the places that are occupied by the people who live or work within places are most noticeable to those passing by on the street. And that's simply because their lights are on. One thing I've learned from my refinery project, life is a journey, don't waste it. Thank you.